of a time is not in his favor. He has a challenge, a shotgun close, and Wood's gonna get it!
Do some damage. Nikolai from the backside! Finds Wisdom again! It would be a big one. He's finding the first. Can he find it? Swing again!
What? Left in a 1v3, make that a 1v2. Make that a 1v1! Oh my goodness, Nitro sell out, and who's gonna stop him?
Well, we're back, a lightning fast break, and we are here with our second series of the night, our second quarterfinal of the playoffs. Carter, first of all, excited to have you here. I know we had to say goodbye to Harrison, but excited that you could step in because we have got a fantastic second quarterfinal on our hand.
Yeah, no offense to the other teams, but this is probably my most anticipated quarterfinal matchup out of the bunch. I mean, One Shot, who just won the second Invitational Open qualifier versus one of the best T3 teams. How is this not a match made in heaven for the teams we have to offer right now? Of course, as you can see, for the matches overall, we just saw and just heard Jonah commentate over Surf's 2-1 victory over Achieve. Did not anticipate that Map 2 victory by Achieve, but always good to see the storyline upset a little bit. But now we get to go to Team Mystic versus One Shot on the other side of the bracket. I mean, again, not to try and reiterate the talking point too much, but man, is this going to be an exciting matchup? I don't see how it can't be.
Mystic, I mean, they're a team that has been tearing things up here in SCS. They've been tearing things up in the T3 scene for a while, but now, I mean, this has been their chance to showcase their skills against the best of the best, against these CL teams who they don't usually get to play against, and they have done so spectacularly. They haven't dropped more than 4 rounds in a single map. They are 4-0. All 4 maps they've played, they've won. They have not dropped more than 4 rounds in any of those maps. One Shot, the story is a little bit different. They're a team, unlike Mystic, who we maybe expected to come out a little bit stronger, but who have not quite played as strongly as one might have hoped. They've had some troubling performances. They've played eclectic twice. They've dropped a map to them once, and they're kind of in this kind of wishy-washy middle ground state. Carter, we can talk a little bit more about these rosters, though, and kind of get a little bit more specific.
Yeah, with Mystic in particular, if you have been keeping up, of course, there has been one change on this roster. Of course, there was a period of time where sort of stepped back, Feltwinder kind of moving into play, but the big issue here, at least for One Shot, is you mentioned Eclectic, how they lost a map to that team, and they actually, One Shot, had a little bit of trouble going against them. If there's any team that is similar in play style, you know, you have Karn and Co on one side and Eclectic on the other, Team Mystic is more closer to that Eclectic side than the others, so if there's any team who could give One Shot a big challenge, it's a team who is as credentialed and as, well, aggressive as Mystic can be. One Shot has to be expecting some very rowdy plays coming out from, say, Newers or Gunner on this roster, and that's tripped them up before. They can definitely trip One Shot up here if Mystic play to that strength.
Well, for One Shot, you know, things are a little bit different, right? Because One Shot are the team who some would argue, if you looked at the way things were before the season started, should be the favorites. But coming into this, Team Mystic almost feel like they have the edge. One Shot needs to shake off the kind of rust they've been showing us here in SCS6, and we need to see the team that played in those SI quals. That was a dominant team. That was a strong team, and they need to be at their best here because Team Mystic is going to give them a run for their money. But in the same way, One Shot need to be prepared for everything that Mystic are going to throw at them. Mystic, they are not afraid to go aggressive. They're not afraid to just play that T3 style of gameplay that we see every once in a while, right? And so One Shot need to be ready to counter that because they no longer have, you know, that double elimination chance. It is a single elimination playoff bracket right now. It is do or die for them. And if they want to book their ticket to that Pro-Am, at least this first opportunity they've got to win this out against a very tough team to beat.
And on the flip side of that, One Shot did shut down FPL Queens, a team with a similar playstyle, pretty effectively in SI quals. So let's see if they can transition to that here and what maps we'll be going to, because even though they've shut down that playstyle in the past, if it's a map that caters to it, it might still be a struggle through and through. First map, a cafe. Well, certainly not a map you can get as aggressive on, but I've seen teams, of course, like Surf and Mystic both do it. But then we have Mystic's pick of Coastline. Not only is this a map where Mystic can play to that strength, that aggression, ratting out in corners or across the map, this is also a map that One Shot didn't look particularly good on going back to CL playoffs. And again, it's a map that allows Mystic to play to their strengths. I do think this could very well be a 3-mapper, but if Mystic get an early win on Cafe, I imagine they can catch One Shot off guard. If they're down 1-0 in the series, of course, One Shot be at that point. They can catch them off guard and in a weakened state on unfavorable ground.
Well, Carter, I'm curious to see what everyone thinks about this matchup as a whole. I know we all threw our predictions in, and it looks like we're leaning One Shot, but we're definitely a little bit mixed on this. You know, Crow, Cookies, Max, and Ty all going with that Mystic vote here. And honestly, I was thinking about throwing my vote to Mystic, but when I learned that Sweater is no longer playing for this team and Feltwinter is taking his spot, that is where I think I changed my mind a little bit. Sweater, of course, he has been the top-rated player in SCS6. Unfortunately, he is now stepping away. Feltwinter, who's a very competent player, is stepping in. But don't get me wrong, just one player could absolutely change up the dynamic of this team. It is Sweater, right? You're losing that #1 player.
Yeah, and then for One Shot, I mean, the reason why I specifically went with them, one, of course, there's always the worry of, you know, not necessarily gaining Feltwinter as a negative, but losing Sweater, such a massive player. I went One Shot because of how effectively they seem to deal with that aggressive play style in FPL Queens. I think they can shut Mystic down here, even though on Coastline could get dicey. We'll see how Cafe shapes out after the ban phase. Of course, Mystic could try and maybe force One Shot into a certain kind of play, but I imagine for Mystic, we're going to see them continue their pattern. More so standard bans, not getting too crazy. You know, they're not going to ban the Zoe against themselves or Newers. We'll see them go Thatcher, or maybe a hard breach ban, and probably one of the two would be my guess. There you go. Ibana to start things out.
Well, we saw all the same bans for the first 3 maps of the night, but finally we are seeing things change up a little bit. Refreshing to either have the Thatcher or the Flores in play. We're going to have probably one of them, not both, because there is still one attacker ban, and it will be that Thatcher. So finally tonight, we will have the opportunity to see those Rotero drones in play if these teams do want to bring him out. But again, we will not be able to see those X-Kairos pellets or those EMP grenades. Not too much of a shock there. On the defense, we've seen Mira and Valk banned every single time. I don't expect that to change here on Cafe because they're incredibly powerful. The Mira going to be that first ban, and those black mirrors just can be so painful to deal with. I expect the Valkyrie will follow suit.
Oh, wow. Well, Valkyrie will not follow suit. That could be pretty massive for Mystic starting out on the defense. You're able to use those black eye cams, but taking out the Jaeger, that changes things up a little bit. You mentioned there were Rotero drones being on the board, so immediately my mind went, okay, if you want to use a Flores, maybe clear out Pixel, that's a lot easier. But now taking out that Jaeger as well, it's even easier from a different angle. You don't need to dump as much utility into Pixel, and it makes Wamai a necessary pick for sites like Bar if you want to, say, extend into Christmas. Hold that Pixel shield. You need to have him on the board. Now, of course, that does leave the Valkyrie up, but for Mystic starting out on the defense, sure, they might be pigeonholed to bringing that Wamai, but allowing that Valkyrie on the board, it might be a bit of a loss in utility and positioning, but for a team that loves to get aggressive, that's something they are absolutely going to take, even if it comes with a downside.
Well, we'll start things off here on the top floor. Mystic, again, they'll be kicking things off on the defense, and they'll be starting things off on a classic bar and cocktail site. And as expected, because the Valkyrie and her black eye cameras are in play, that is exactly what we're going to see right off the bat. Coming out here, so we're looking at the attacking lineup. Nothing out of the ordinary on that side of things. We don't see the Flores just yet, as it seems that One Shot will be staying away from those Rotero drones and the incredible destructive potential that they allow. Curious, you know, on this bomb site to be avoiding him, especially because deployable shields and dealing with those positions on both Pixel and often in Bathroom Freezer as well, even all the way over in Cocktail. Generally, those Rotero drones can be honestly make or break an attacking round, and at least your speed in which you're able to clear out that utility. But it seems that One Shot will fall back on more traditional elements of that utility clear. They do have 4 frag grenades after all, both in the hands of Storms and Slippery on the Sledge and the Finka respectively.
Yeah, they still got plenty of that utility. So Rotero drones are always useful for destroying utility or clearing out positions, but on Cafe, you're going to have a lot of the usual suspects like those nades, those lifelines anyway, so not too much of a loss here. For One Shot, starting out the traditional side of the map, you know, starting over in that west side, but of course, all repelling up in general, just to gauge their options, open up that hatch, but with Slippery moving up to the piano window. Quartz also in the cocktail balcony. There is some pressure on the opposite side, but it is mainly focused on clearing out Gunner from this position. Now, of course, the issue with Mystic is, when, as you can see right now, wouldn't be surprised if Gunner tries to get a little bit aggressive, take a gunfight on that window, and might be risky, and it might not even be the most well-advised play, but knowing Gunner, it's a fight that if he takes and he's feeling confident, he could very well win. Taking out that position should be the first and foremost priority for the attack, but right now, it appears that it is. Gunner's forced to rotate off within the first minute.
And Quartz is going to be applying some pressure from that white window at the same time. And with that, it's going to allow Slippery to just rappel on into stage and get boots on the ground in Piano itself. So early successful pressure being applied, actually forcing Mystic to rotate away. And with that, they're going to position downstairs and open up this hatch there in Laundry to potentially go for a late game C4 up through that very hatch. That's going to be Feltwinter's approach here. He's on that Goyo. He's got that Nitro Cell in pocket, ready to rip. And he's got a good bit of support from the rest of his team. You've got somebody positioned down in Train. You've got, I believe until a moment ago, you had Tonas as well hanging around, but he's probably rotated back up to the site. Yes, he has, over by the Planks position. No deployable shield, but still a very important position to hold, especially as One Shot begin to encroach from this Piano side over towards the site itself. Storm's now opening up that line of sight over into the objective and a potential avenue to put in and get that bomb down while Quartz applies some pressure from above on the skylight.
One Shot making good progress at this point. Gunner taking the first bit of damage in this round. Up until this point, it's been a 5v5 full HP. Slippery tries to send in the nade, but he takes a bit of damage. That nade is caught by an ADS, so Doc can sit safely inside a freezer for the moment, but not for long. Until being relayed in his position, he might have that Goyo shield in front of him. There's the full force of the attack, ready and prepared to push into the site within the final 30 seconds. C4 rip. This is a dangerous game for One Shot right now. Now the C4 could come into play with all those members stacked outside. He'll send it out right as somebody runs in, but oh, they run past too quickly. And in fact, it's the Nomad to get the first kill, but 2, 3, in fact, all fly Mystic's way. Kilo now the only one left after a very hectic and sudden shift into Mystic's favor. Tones rotates over, picks up the final frag, and it came in, well, all the kills came in the final 30 seconds. They happen to go Mystic's way despite the close margins.
Wow, that One Shot made a bold move there, pushing in all the way, not opting to go for that close plant, instead opting to push all the way through long bar, challenging on that freezer player as a result, from that other angle. And for a moment, I thought it was working. Then they continued that push all the way into Cocktail. That's when things went a little bit awry. Looked like there was too much of a crossfire already established. Several players sitting on both sides of that Cocktail double door, and there's simply no way that one player can cover both angles at once. And as a result, we saw the flurry of engagements go mostly in the favor of Mystic. So a successful defensive round to kick things off. Bar and Cocktail, a success for Mystic. Now they'll be looking to continue that as they head all the way downstairs. But we are seeing substantial defensive changes and a minor attacking change. We'll be seeing Swalen pulling out the Twitch, which is always exciting to see. And on the side of Mystic, we'll be seeing the Valkyrie, yes, again, but this time it is Gunner taking up that mantle, doing away with the Wamai, and bringing out both the Mozzie over on Feltwinter, and Newers is going to be bringing out the Alibi as well.
Yeah, Swalen, not only, obviously, Twitch having some solid secondary utility with those smokes, but also her primary gadget receiving some changes. You can try and go around, maybe get an angle on maybe some of those Mozzie pests or those black eye cameras if you find them moving around the map. But more importantly, or at least to me in this match, sometimes the aggression and the fragging capability between these two teams comes into play a little bit more. Swalen is a powerhouse on Twitch. We dropped 20 kills last time I saw him on this operator on this map. So exciting for me to see providing some good flashbacks. Tones, you can see also, aggression is the name of the game. This is the dictionary definition of it. If you look up aggression, you would find this. However, right now, nobody's giving up their position to Tones. One was right around the corner, but you'll walk away 25 seconds in, not with an opening kill, but right as I say that, one opens up bakery door, he rotates off. No kill on either of the angles he took. He can rotate back into the site fully undamaged, and the rest of the defense, who I believe are actually, for the most part, sitting on the site, oddly enough, will also be safe inside as One Shot taking a full clear of the map to start out.
Yeah, typical hold here from Mystic on this bottom floor. Not necessarily on the objective itself, but just extended around this first floor, holding VIP, somebody on the brown stairs, making sure to apply a good bit of pressure. But Mystic actually not afraid to go for a bit of some second floor pressure, moving a couple of defenders now back onto that second floor to apply some pressure from above. Now noticing that One Shot aren't going for that full clear, They are going to now staff these floor holes up in train, up in mining room, to make sure that this vertical pressure is being applied. And any push that One Shot try to get going a bit prematurely is going to be denied outright. One Shot theoretically could push in at any time, but they have to deal with the pressure above. Otherwise, their push is going to be denied as soon as it even begins. Storm's using this nade to push all the way in the back of sight. It'll deal a good bit of damage to Gunnar, but not before Gunnar can get a pick of his own. Silencing Kilo. Storms, however, will get an answer right back, going 1-for-1 with the Valkyrie, keeping us even in this 4v4 as that 1 minute mark draws near.
Your point about the vertical pressure is also important. They might have found a kill on a Gunner, an important one, but there is still a Melusi up top, some powerful angles. Nice nade by Slippery. There's an alibi to fill Doc's position, so it will be held momentarily. That does mean the man advantage goes One Shot's favor, and Quartz, you can see, is trying to deal with this upstairs pressure, but it's collapsing down below. He might have rotated upstairs, but it's Tones and Newers down below who have thrown the entire attacking lineup out of whack. Slippery now alone on the site. Nice shot onto Newers. Threads the needle through that wall, with Tones just around the corner. He's got an enemy in front of him and an enemy behind him. Nice flick by Tones. The coverage taken down. Now Slippery's trapped inside of the site. Can't react in time. Beautiful play, rotation, and 3K by Tones to put a second round for Mystic on the board.
It's that aggression we talked about, Carter, coming out in full force from Mystic now 2 rounds in a row. I mean, you could see it pretty clear just in their operator selection how aggressive they wanted to be. It was the Melusi, the Alibi, the Mozzie. It just so much of that aggression coming out right off the bat. And what they did was they just swung aggressively using the power those operators gave them, using the intel that Gunnar was able to procure, because those black eye cameras, again, having the Valkyrie in play, the value of that cannot be stated enough. That intel, it gave Tones, well, the info he needed to rotate all the way up to Small Bakery and pressure Slippery from behind. And Slippery and his one remaining teammate had to make a decision. Do they want to force their way into the objective and just try to get the bomb down, maybe force Tones to then go for some sort of a retake? Or do they take the time and just try to pinch Tones, challenge him, get him stuck into a corner? Well, they ended up going with the former strategy, and what we saw there was Slippery in the bomb site, but unfortunately couldn't quite catch Tones as that wide swing came in. Once Slippery lost his teammate in the 1v2, he had to kind of pay attention to 2 angles at once, and that simply was not going to happen for him, and that's 2 defensive rounds in a row for Mystic. A very good start.
Now moving to Reading, they can get the hat trick on the board. 3 rounds in a row on Cafe defense. That's well, literally as good of a start as you could hope for really any half, but the defensive half in particular. For Mystic, of course, an extension is on the board. Didn't go as hard on their Reading extension as you might normally see Team C. They really just kept themselves at that second floor, didn't push on the third floor at all. Didn't need to. Here, of course, it's Reading. You'll need to see a lot more pressure on that third floor. You have 2 defenders sitting there right now. Tone sitting down below, trying to see if anybody maybe makes a play inside a bakery, catches him off guard with some sloppy drone work. He'll fire some shots, but then rotate off just as the rest of the attack also rotates upstairs in turn. Saw One Shot go for a direct last time, and I initially thought they were going for a full clear, but they quickly said, no, we are going for that direct. Here, you can see they're going for a full clear of that top floor, trying to push those defenders back, as on Reading, that verticality is very necessary in actually getting that control, as opposed to, say, just trying to deny some angles. You do need to send that sledge up there to open up those holes. So far, we've yet to see One Shot enter the building, and it just became a little bit more difficult.
It's Gunnar once again, opening pick for him, and that's Quartz. You've losing, and that is your Zofia gone within 1 minute. The first frag on the board before really Quartz could even get in the building. Very detrimental to this one-shot attack. You do still have what I'd argue is the most important element of this attack still in play. The sledge Storms still in the mix, but as I say that, Slippery is the one to then play with death for a moment. Feltwinter, a good C4 lobbed all the way out, but just can't quite deal enough damage to do the Finka in, and at any point, Slippery could choose to boost himself back up with that Finka stim, and he will do so. A little bit more health returned. Another nade now cooked, thrown down the hall. No more ADSs to burn that, and so that will mean Feltwinter and the Goyo shield at the top of the white stairs is dealt with, but here's Gunnar still in this position. He'll pop his head right back up and deal with the Finka accordingly. Slippery says goodbye, and this top floor hold from this top floor clear from One Shot, rather, is just gone down pretty unsuccessfully so far. They still haven't worked their way all the way into Cocktail, and now Mystic have rotated away safely. 4 defenders now on the bomb site, waiting for whatever these 3 remaining attackers can throw at them.
Now, this is important because even with the 3v4, if they're able to get this vertical control and maybe even a pick off of it, this round is still very winnable for one shot because they have this vertical control. What is very important is Gunner's C4 right now, and whether anybody can peek down below and play that verticality well. Tone's doing a hell of a good job so far. I'd be surprised if he rotated up some stairs to get that kill based on how aggressive he's been playing. Newer is unfortunately less successful. Oh, never mind. He actually traded with Storms. I thought the Sledge got that kill. Now Swaylin stuck in the 1v3, pushing down White. Position revealed. Maybe no C4, but in the 1v3, even with some holes opened up, this is a very difficult proposition for Swaylin to try to net out. Spots one through the rafters, and he's able to pick it up, but still, two men both holding a crossfire, and Swalin's only real option is pushing through that reading door and pushing for those frags. That is a very untenable option at the moment. Doc playing close with the shotgun. Swalin doesn't even know his position. Mystic pull off the hat trick. 3 rounds in a row. A flawless cycle on all their attempts at defense.
I mean, this is clean from Mystic. There's a lot of words you could use to describe this. I think clean is just a nice, simple way of putting it. One shot.
Agreed.
Despite all the experience that this team's had, I mean, you've got years of T3, T2, and even Pro League experience on this roster, and we are just not seeing that experience allowed to shine through. It's like One Shot aren't even being given the opportunity to use that experience because Mystic are running at them so fast that One Shot don't even know what hit them. Carter, I've casted a lot of games so far in SCS6, but this is actually my first time casting this Mystic team.
Really?
And I've always heard about the aggression, and I've watched the aggression, on stream, but I've never casted it. It just really feels different. It's chaotic. It's so fast paced, and right now it's working beautifully.
Well, that's the nice thing because obviously, the best two T3 teams right now, undisputably, Surf and Mystic. I mean, I feel like everyone, if we can agree on anything, those are the two best. Another thing we can all agree on, some of the most aggressive teams in the league right now. And we always say, T3 playstyle, amateur scene playstyle. But no, seriously, this is a mainstay of that roster. But I feel like both teams have it to degrees, but I feel like Mystic a little bit more. What they have is a little bit more just coordination among them. Take the play on White Stairs, for example. You have Slippery getting that nade kill. He's able to take down Feltman. Good work. Exactly what you needed to do at a good time as well. But there's Gunner pulling out the oldest trick in the book. You rotate up White right as your teammate on top. White dies, you peek out and try to get the kill. Exactly what you want. Of course, you have Tones right here going for a little bit more singular play, trying to go for these spawn peaks. He's done this spawn peak, I believe, 3 times in a row. This time it's, just almost successful. But he only puts Storms down to low HP. But that's what's nice about watching Mystic is because it doesn't feel thoughtless. There always seems to be, if somebody's making a play, there's somebody close by where if it goes awry, they can still try to bring it back.
And right now, again, there is a bit of this extension, but as you highlighted, Carter, look, you've got Newers in place to support Tones as he rotates back up the White Stairs, and if they need to, they can group up and take a couple of engagements together. Meanwhile, you've got the rest of this team comfortably on this top floor, just anchoring this defense down, making sure that nobody from One Shot can go in and go for some sort of surprise push and catch Mystic off guard. For now, One Shot haven't really made much of a move. Naturally, afraid of even approaching the building at this point, just given how much pressure Mystic are throwing their way. One Shot this time, though, are opening up maybe a couple of different avenues of approach instead of putting all of their eggs in the piano basket, this south side, or this west side, rather, of this top floor. I mean, you've got Quartz, who is working his way in from Heaven at the same time. He'll be sneaking his way around towards that Heaven rappel, maybe applying a little bit of pressure towards Cocktail if the time is right. But you do have someone up in Piano. You do have a bit of pressure being applied now in Cigar, and you've got a couple of avenues to work with here. They do need to be aware that there is some pressure from below and a possible flank at any moment.
One Shot didn't really put much attention down below before, and now with the attention placed on the top floor, it's not crumbling in there against them. I thought maybe with the 5v3, it'd be too much, but now no, a 2v2, make that a 0v2. Just like the first round, everything happening within a 15-second window. But this time, as opposed to prior, it's the kills that go One Shot's way. Able to even at 3-3, and then when the defenders go for those rotates, go for those plays, they're either shut down by utility or by gunplay.
That was wild. I felt like that was all 10 players like almost killed in like 10 seconds.
I couldn't even process everything that fast, Jonah.
Everyone was alive, and then all of a sudden nobody was alive except for the last 2 remaining players on one shot. That insanity. Use of a Claymore there was great from one shot. Good adjustment, knowing how aggressive Mystic are going to be. We saw the flurry of engagements break out, and so Mystics decided, okay, now we strike. Now we jump out a window. Now we run out and try to get aggressive and take down these players who are positioning on the rappel to provide those cutoffs instead of challenging those players where those players want to be challenged, that is on those windows or on that skylight. Mystic said, let's jump out a window. Let's run at them. In this case, in this particular round, one shot made an adjustment and had a Claymore in position to deal with them. So good job from them there, shutting down everyone on the side of Mystic. We haven't even seen, I mean, I don't know if we're going to see any diffusers even attempted to go on the ground at this point, just seeing how these rounds have progressed. But right now, one shot, even if they don't focus on the objective, they focus on getting those frags, and it worked for them. I mean, Quartz, you look at his stat line, and is not exactly what we can expect from a player of his caliber on that Zofia, that entry. You expect him to be putting up a couple of more numbers right now, but still yet to find the scoreboard at 0-4.
Yeah, still, at least on Cocktail so far, I mean, looking at his position, he's sitting on the Cocktail rappel. Not necessarily a position where you need to get kills, more so a position where you need to hold down a position. But yeah, as you said, hopefully we can see him put things up a little bit more. After all, if he starts putting up numbers, that could be 2 more rounds for one shot. That could just be the missing puzzle piece. We'll have to see as Mystic go for a retry of this Cocktail site. Not many adjustments they've made overall, and could be to their benefit, could be to their detriment. Honestly, with both rounds ending in about a 10-second window, really just depends on who wins their fights. If we're not going to see any adjustments in strategy right now, one shot still starting some early pressure on Piano. 2 members on the roof, 2 members moving to that rappel. Haven't seen much yet. Quartz, the 5th member, retaking his position on Cocktail side. So, one thing I do like is we're seeing a bit more pressure on Newers down below, who was never really taken down, of course. He was isolated by one shot. They didn't really need to deal with him. Maybe they will have to later on. But the top floor clear is going about as well as you'd expect so far, so problem for another time, maybe.
Yeah, Pixel's shield now dealt with. Good nade from Slippery there. He'll back off the rappel and play a little bit more passively, hoping to maybe cover a potential run out from Newers, who again is sitting below with a lot of intel and a nitro cell to work with if he deems fit. There is also a player on that ticket rappel who could swing it at any moment, but again, wary that there could be someone on that Pixel position or even running back to that Pixel position. And Tones, we know he will not shy away from that, but instead he will position in Bathroom rather than in Pixel itself. Doc is a potential another player to step up here, holding down Freezer, but keeping an eye on a potential Cigar push, as one shot have now pretty much all gotten in the building at this point and are ready to make a potential push, but just need to make sure that all of their bases are covered before they do so. Storms actually challenges right on towards Cocktail, trying to lay a couple of bullets downrange towards Gunner on the Maestro, who will be once again sitting back, just waiting for the right opportunity to use those Evil Eyes and get additional intel to work with. At the same time, Newers will now be rotating back to the site because we crossed that 45-second mark. One shot, no, it's about time to make this push.
Yeah, look at all these defenders. Tone's still in his position, holding inside a Bathroom. Gunner's still in a very powerful position on Cocktail Balcony. Not a lot of denial of these defenders in their positions, and we're reaching a similar spot as to last time, where you need to win these fights, but Swaylin has won the first. Can one shot win the next preceding ones and the last one? C4 goes out, but again, the attackers rotate in right past the C4, and with Newers picking one up, it's still one shot's away. Not enough to stop the tide of the attack. 2 rounds in a row for one shot so far. They might be banking it on winning those fights, but hey, for these past 2 rounds, they've been winning them and then some.
Right. In these kind of engagements, it's like, it's just about, yes, it's about gunplay because that's all we're seeing right now. There's no objective play at all. It is just who is going to get the frags, but it's also about positioning, because in those last few seconds, and when all the engagements, or at least most of them, are happening within like a 5-second time span where we can barely even catch one, like, you've got to be either close enough to your teammate to get a trade, or in a position, adjacent enough to your teammate to like get the cutoff of the angle that maybe they force that defender to run into. I know I'm not putting in the best words here, but like, with all of that going down at once, it is so essential that you are just prepared for that situation ahead of time. And you can win that flurry of engagements by out-positioning rather than simply out-fragging. Because if all the engagements are happening within 3 seconds, you can only move so much at that point. It's just, are you in the right place? Have you spent the last 2.5 minutes of the round burning through that utility and getting yourself in the right position to make the most impact in those last few seconds, if you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying, Jonah. Don't you worry.
Good.
I got you.
Good.
Final round. Kitchen defense, as now the Mystic have lost Cocktail twice in a row. They'll think, you know, maybe we should try somewhere else. The mojo has been lost. One thing that worked well for them here, talking about the mojo they've built up, was holding out the top floor for quite a while. And when Quartz rotated up, well, the defense said, hey, if there's somebody upstairs, after we've got a couple kills, there's got to be an absence on that bottom floor, too, right in front of the site. So Tones rotates over, and Mystic were able to keep up the pressure and keep one shot guessing as to their positioning, keep up the pressure long enough that they're able to do some damage before they fell off. Still, they can go for this same option here. We see the Melusi up top. Tones, he held this position before he rotated down. Gunnar also taking the reins on the Valkyrie once again. Again, 2 players that wanted to play on that second floor for the early to middle part of the round, and One Shot have not changed up their take all that much in the first minute. Putting some early pressure on that bakery side, likely opening up that prep wall, opening up that main bakery wall as well. But their big issue was, while there was some denial of the players inside of the site in the top floor, that was about all there was for it. And again, they're going for the fights and they win them, it's all good. But if they don't, it's an easy round for Mystic to win.
Well, One Shot in this round, they've got bakery opened up successfully, but the one thing is, do they know that there could be a big push coming in from small bakery? Now's the time to check, because here comes Gunnar, here comes Tones, and they have been shut down. Slippery Swaylin on the coverage. Swaylin beautifully positioned on that small bakery window, was more than ready for that. Absolutely dominating those defenders who tried to go for some crazy aggressive rush play, and just like that, they have all but secured this 3-3 half, unless Doc and Feltwinter can pull off something ridiculous. There comes a perfect nade from Storms.
Nope.
There's another beautiful kill. Now it's a 1v5 for Felt. He'll try to get something going, maybe a flank towards the small bakery side, but he is flashed out of his mind, completely blind, and Slippery will be the one to actually push in, getting his double kill, securing that final blow for One Shot. A beautiful recovery in the half. 3 rounds in a row to tie things up.
Let's do a positive and a negative for that round for Mystic, specifically the play inside of Small Bake. One, they were playing together. I appreciate that. Didn't have a solo effort. They had the buddy system going. Problem, they fell for like the oldest angle in the book from Swaylin. If they're pushing Bakery, what do you know? They have their flank watch, Swaylin, on the Nomad, watching the Small Bake window. And he gets them taken off guard. Maybe there was somebody... We saw Gunnar as the first to fall. Maybe him going with his buddy. The buddy was meant to swing small bake window and win that fight. Not too sure what happened. It was very hectic. But still, you lose 2 bodies to what is a very common angle when their attackers are attacking Bakery. Seems like a bit of over-aggression from Mystic and maybe a poor calculation. But it's still a 3-3 half after Cafe defense. Not the worst thing in the world. The bare minimum, but not the worst thing in the world whatsoever. Now One Shot, they will move to Cocktail, as both teams preferring this site to start out their defensive halves.
I mean, this turned quickly from Mystic Dollins to, I guess technically, like you said, maybe One Shot took the edge there. It is generally a map where I think 3-3 splits are very, very common, but you do, as a defensive side, really want to get that 4th round under your belt if you can. But One Shot not allowing that to happen could have possibly secured an early edge, especially considering they are now transitioning to that defensive side, and this is their map pick to kick off the night. It was almost as if after round 3, when I highlighted that the Mystic were doing a great job of shutting down the One Shot experience, right? They weren't letting that experience shine through. It seemed that One Shot turned things around and decided to flex that experience, saying, you know what? We can go down 3 rounds, but we know how to make adjustments. We've done it before. We can do it again. They made really solid adjustments to a very unpredictable Mystic defense. Now it just comes down to dealing with an even more unpredictable Mystic attack, and how do you counter that on the defensive side?
Why, the phrase "the one-shot experience" made me laugh. I know what you meant, but it sounded like a theme park ride. Here, as you can see, not going for a little bit different for one shot. They have that castle barricade on the double door. You have Storms playing inside of the humidor. So very aggressive strat that we didn't see Mystic do all too much. But Swaylin right now is still facing the same pixel clear you would expect in this position. A nade sent out, destroying his shield. Very long angle held by Kilo inside of the site, taking advantage of the lack of cigar pressure right now with Storms holding it down to hold that angle and maybe help alleviate some of the pressure that Swaylin will be feeling in this position. He'll be thanking him for it, and it's not Kilo or Swaylin to get the first kill. It's Slippery running out of the bakery door. We saw Tones try to make that position work on the defense. It's the Aruni for one shot that uses it to get the opening pick. Onto the ace as well. Now Storms, not cleared out just yet. Puts a hell of a lot of damage onto Doc. Ends up losing his life, but the damage has already been done to Mystic's attack.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, they didn't deal with the cigar player. What are you going to expect? Dropping down red stairs with a shotgun playing around the corner. That is not an engagement that the attackers are going to win more often than they are going to get absolutely bodied. I mean, he was able to finally get traded back. Storms was. And Doc, even though he was taken down to very low HP, a nice little Finka boost will boost him quickly back up, and a couple more should get him right back into tip-top fighting shape in no time. Despite that, though, they'll still be down a man in a 3v4 with under 50 seconds to play in this round and 4 defenders to locate and deal with. That's not going to be the easiest task. They do have Tones a little bit extended over towards this Heaven Repel, and a nade in hand could find its way towards Kilo, but not quite. The castle still very much a threat, and Tones is no longer going to have any nades in pocket to deal with that. Gunner has to hope he's looking at the right angle at the right time. Maybe Kilo overexposes himself, but that wish is not going to be coming true just yet. Gunner will get one onto Quartz, but not before one kill was found from the side of one shot. It's going to be a 2v3, still a disadvantage for this attack. And yet again, as Swaylin buries Gunner in the freezer, it's going to be all up to Tones in a 1 versus 3. Caught in a crossfire, and Kilo will take him down. Really good start for the defensive half for one shot.
Yeah, you saw Mystic going for very similar to one shot, putting all of their eggs on the cocktail, or not the cocktail, the Christmas cigar, piano cigar, whatever you want to call it, that basket, that 2-room basket. But it didn't really work out as well as it did for one shot, because for one shot, every single time they went, even if they lost the round, they were still going in with usually their full man count, or at least even. There, because of the early aggression by one shot, they were going in with a major deficit. You had Slippery going for that run out, unread on bakery door. He's able to easily deal with a player on piano window. Nobody can react in time. Mystic failed to clear out Storms effectively. He rotated out of the humidor unbeknownst to the attack, and even if it was playing close with that shotgun, even if he falls like he did, odds are he's getting at least 1 kill before he's traded out. Combined with the damage done by Slip early on, if Mystic are going to go for that take, they need a kill. They need it to even it up. And one didn't present itself until Gunner got one. But before, again, they lost a body in addition. One shot always just seemed to be a step ahead of Mystic in that round. And if you're going for that take, all pushing in from that side, you gotta have the man advantage, or at least an even man count. For Kitchen, could be a little bit different if you're able to get that verticality in, but that's just not a blessing you have on Cocktail.
10 seconds to go.
Well, unlike Mystic here, actually, well, much like Mystic here, one shot will be heading from the top floor straight down towards Kitchen. Mystic on their defensive half, they did the same thing where they were barring Cocktail, then they went Kitchen, then they were successful on both to kick off their half, and one shot will be looking to do the same thing. Good top floor defense. Now can they transition that down to the bottom? We're seeing a little bit of a roam, but only a minor one. But we're seeing a good bit of aggression here from Swaylin. Good shot, just spots the head of Newers and quickly deals with him. Feltwinter, while he gets a couple of bullets his way, he can't quite finish him off. Kilo, however, he will be down from that reception double door, now kind of stuck in the hallway here, and a nade will quickly finish him off. Also, Mystic have already worked their way up into small bakery, so not afraid to take this map control quickly, avoiding, neglecting this entire top floor clear. And while that does have a lot of benefits, it also comes with a few risks that Mystic need to be careful of come the late round.
Still, taking out the Echo, as the first pick for the attack. Obviously, Newer's falling early on, so some fairly impactful kills both ways, but taking out that Echo is massive on a site like Kitchen. Slippery moving into the bottom floor as well. Knows there's somebody inside a coat check, and Doc is none the wiser. Valkyrie trying to get aggressive on the player outside, but the Yana's rotated in. That's Gunner who picks up that kill, and it all boils down to a 2v2, with the HP favoring one shot by just a little bit. Feltwinter on low HP. Very easy for, say, Storms or Swaylin to clean him up. He's sitting inside a bakery, though, not putting himself in harm's way. And Gunner right now is the one getting the most. If he does have the diffuser, but if he's going to push by himself, he needs to get one of these kills inside of the site, but he gives himself up to Storms, pushing a little too aggressive. Storms, a very tight angle, not giving himself away too much to the Ana. Good exchange by the Mute. Now Feltwinter on effectively 1 HP. Now the only one left in the 1v2. Info on his position as well. Swaylin can use that active intel. The ping beaming the Ash's position directly into his eyes and give one shot their second defensive round in a row as they move up 5-3.
Carter, I don't know if you feel the same about this one-shot team right now, but you and I have casted them a lot at this point. And it feels like in these last 2 rounds, we are watching an entirely different team. A team that is just playing insanely aggressive on the defensive side. I mean, obviously, it's working very, very well, and I'm loving it. But they are aggressive. They are taking fights. They are going for runouts, and they are going for swings. Combine that with their usual coordination and all the intel they have at their fingertips. And, I mean, we're seeing the result. It's a lethal defensive setup. Do you see that aggression I'm talking about? I mean, it is so crazy how it's working for them. It seems like they're mirroring that Mystic strategy, and oddly enough, Mystic aren't able to counter that own aggressive playstyle that they brought out on their defensive side.
I mean, listen, no offense to Mystic. Obviously, I've hyped them up quite a bit in SCS so far. Mystic, even their first match of the tournament, of the league, beat ACL team 2-0. That's obviously, you don't need me to tell you, that's really good. But one shot, based on their results and playstyle, just a little bit of cut above the rest. They're a team that definitely plays a little bit more based on their gunplay and off their aggression. And that's something that Mystic, again, even against teams like IF, a CL team, have had a little bit of a blessing for, where they are usually the more aggressive ones in the lobby. But One Shot are not at all afraid to fight Mystic on their own turf, and they have shut down teams in the past with that exact same playstyle. If they can pull off the flawless site rotation here, get 3 defensive sites in a row, and they move up 6-3, it's hard to see a world where, based on their current trajectory, they're going to lose it. But then again, Mystic also looked pretty damn good in their first 3 rounds, and, well, you know how that ended up by round 6.
Right, I mean, we could easily see this one turn around. After all, One Shot now have to go to more uncomfortable bomb site, right? Reading and Fireplace now, Reading and Dining. That's where they'll be undertaking this defense next. They will be running another bit of an aggressive extension somewhat. Storms is going to be all the way challenging over onto these players, pushing in from Mining as Mystic appear to be going for a pretty quick push. They don't necessarily want to go for that full top down. Instead, more of a direct, maybe backsided take here. And now, looks like both Quartz and Storms are going to be elected to be the first defenders to challenge this Gunner. Despite being lit up as he vaulted through the window, will still take a couple of aggressive fights, at least an aggressive angle over towards Dining itself. Quartz on the other side of the wall here isn't quite aware of the Giannis position. Otherwise, we will likely see a couple of bullets flying through that soft wall in no time, but he knows he's got support from his team. There are 2 players holding this crossfire. I mean, there are 4 Mystic players on the other side of things, but they can't all cram through the doorway at the same time.
That is the issue, of course, but right now the trades would go Mystic's way, but Quartz, he's the first one to break the tension, break the ice, and knock Gunner down onto the floor. 1 kill finally goes Mystic's way, but it's still One Shot dominating the scoreboard. Tones answering back for both of Mystic's, well, bright spots of this round, as beyond his 2 kills, it's been a relatively failed entry by the attack so far. Well, here he is, making up for all of their mistakes, building a monument to his success inside of Train. Now, Swaylin has to try to bring things back. He downs the Reaper himself inside of the site. Now, Doc, the only one left to stop One Shot from moving the match point. He moves out. A C4 flies over his head, and as the Valkyrie peeks the other way, no, he still gets the kill. Beautiful play by Swaylin to stop the comeback from Mystic and grab match point.
Well, we said that the comeback is possible, and I'd agree. We saw it in the first half, but Carter, this one feels a lot different because now, if you're Mystic, you're not just staring down a casual 3-0 deficit and you have a long time to bring it back. It's okay, you've got some room to work with. No, no, no. You are staring at match point, and every round that slips out of your fingers is the last round you'll have here on Cafe. They need 3 rounds in a row just to send this one to overtime if they want to have a shot at taking, well, one shot's map pick out of their fingers here. And right now, it doesn't not look like that's going to happen. One Shot have all of the momentum, all the confidence, and even in that last round, it seems that they have all the intel in the world of exactly where Mystic are approaching from. I mean, from the moment that round began, and Mystic positioned over by those mining windows, by that red stairs, that mining hallway, looking to push in, maybe apply some pressure to Dining from the back, One Shot were ready for it. And they had 2 players sitting on the crossfire the entire time. Eventually, somebody from Mystic, they like, okay, we've got to push in at some point. We can't just sit here. They stepped up, and One Shot were there to deny it. Perfectly escaping as well, not allowing themselves to be traded out, knowing that there would likely be more Mystic attackers than they could handle if a full flood came in. Just perfectly calculated aggression from One Shot. You'll love to see that kind of defense from them, and unfortunately for Mystic, they just haven't quite been able to answer just yet. They've got 3 rounds to do it, but it's 3 match points.
Yeah. A little bit different of a situation when it's the first 3 rounds of the map.
Yep.
Or the last 3 rounds of potentially the map. So, yeah, a bit of a different situation. One Shot are going for the same defense so far, so if Mystic just, remembered 3 rounds ago, someone that they're not going to be unfamiliar with. They did a good job of pushing Swaylin out of his position in Pixel. It was Storms in his position, though, that left a little to be desired for the attack, and combined with an early aggressive play by Slippery, really did the most damage to Mystic's chances and aggression in that round. Tables are completely turned here. Slippery, who got the opening pick last time by running out of Bakery. Well, he's not running out this time, but he's found in a similar position, trying to peek out that right white window. Doc shuts him down pretty easily, and now Mystic can focus wholeheartedly on clearing out Pixel and likely transitioning with a little bit of a better clear of the Humidor and Cigar as well.
Ooh, Newer spots out the toes of the Warden sitting in Cigar. Storms was really important on this position last time. Therefore, Mystic, they know they've got to clear him out as soon as possible. There goes that castle barricade. So now Storms in a very uncomfortable position, but he's got Swaylin still to support, still persisting in Pixel, and that is going to be a fantastic trade, taking down Gunner, eventually working that man advantage back to even. Swaylin as well still has a couple of magnets now regenerating as he sits in the corner, so he'll have a little bit more protection as he stays there for the remainder of the round. More so than that, he'll have the ability to continue to frag out. Really good shot there onto Feltwinter, who is sitting just close around the corner, and now several more Mystic attackers will still have to challenge this position. This is what makes this top floor site so hard. You need to be able to clear out this Pixel position quickly, and if not, as you start to lose bodies, it becomes very, very difficult to push.
You can see Tones contemplating a drop down ready, goes for it, and oh no, Storms misses a key shot. The second one placed in the hatch opens up an escape route down below, but just as he does, Tones rotates down to cut off his escape the moment he contemplates it. Doc pushes in, but there's Swaylin with the recovery, a triple for him in the round, going nuclear on Cafe with 16 kills right now, trying to put the final nail in the coffin for Mystic on Cafe. Tones pushing into the site. Newer's able to pick up 2 with just a couple shots fired, but now Quartz, he's put it in a 1v1, forces Newers to try and pick up the slack. Intel on the Ashes position. He runs back into Cafe. Quartz whips out the shotgun, but he has no intel on the Ashes positioning. Rotates behind the cocktail bar. Mystic stave off defeat for just one more round.
Yeah, gotta admit, I'm surprised about that lack of intel because we just saw the bulletproof cam there, sitting on the cocktail wall, which had complete view of all of Long Bar, all the way through to Cigar, most of Cocktail, likely visible as well. And we saw several Mystic attackers kind of in the middle of Long Bar, and for a little bit there, remained unpunished. I mean, eventually there was a trade found, Court stepped up, but looked like Mystic was able to catch One Shot off guard there. Maybe a couple of communication issues sneaking their way through. Or maybe Mystic were just applying a pressure in enough spots at the same time that information, the comms were cluttered, that information was caught a little thin, and Mystic did a good job of just pressuring enough points at the same time. But you got to give credit for Newers there, really defying
Without
what
question,
looked
yeah.
like to be a confirmed result of that round, just kind of snatching that one out of One Shot's hands by jumping in that heaven window and taking down 2 players with just a couple of bullets, like you said, Carter.
Yeah, I saw him get the first kill. I heard him just fire about 3 or 4 shots. I was like, oh, sweet, you got a kill. I looked up, I was like, how did he get 2 with that few shots? That just seems, 1, incredibly efficient, 2, wildly improbable. But good work for him. We can have more entries like that, or late round entries into the site. Definitely seems like a possible 3-round comeback for Mystic. One Shot will, again, mirror Mystic on their defensive half. They will try Cocktail a second time after that. And again, like Mystic, go for what amounts to the exact same setup. Storm's still holding that position. Now that round might go a lot differently if Storms is able to get that kill on the ace dropping down the hatch. Of course, that doesn't, take down Newers, who won that round for Mystic, but does still make it a 2v4 and maybe changes the attack's mind as to the kinds of plays they can go for. Only speculating, of course, but we did see Mystic do a hell of a lot better of a job of clearing out this position last time, and I don't think that was intentional, especially since he hasn't broken it before, but if it was, I mean, he's got this angle, I guess.
That was definitely not intentional.
I'm giving him an out, but I do not think that was on purpose.
He just missed the count by 1. A classic blunder. Math is hard. Counting is hard. We only have 10 fingers, and any number higher than that is it's challenging. Didn't they change that to 9 though? I feel like they decreased. I feel like they decreased that.
Just move on. Just let him happen.
All
Just
right.
let him
Okay.
happen.
You know what? It's fine. Fine. Storms count better next time, but it seems to be a hindrance for Mystic. I mean, One Shot as a whole, they'll already lose their first player. Kilo, the castle, ironically enough, will be the first player to fall, and nobody is there to get the trade at all. Mystic up to an early edge here, and going back to Barn Cocktail again, a mirror image of what Mystic did on their defensive side after losing the first one. Well, it could be a bit of a problem for One Shot if they're not careful here.
Saw how well Mystic did with the opening pick last time. Had to do a bit more work for it here. Slippery not giving himself away, but a castle barricade open. Pixel cleared out. A lot of options. But there's Slippery getting aggressive as he is outside the building currently. And Storms, oh, look at this, ratting behind the cigar table. It's One Shot who instead going for this play, spots the Sledge's head, pops up at the exact wrong time for the attack.
Oh!
But no! Tone spins around! A massive whiff by the Warden! That was the game. That was the map right there. Not the game. I'm getting ahead of myself. But now it's a 2v2. That could have been it. That was a 7-4 waiting for him. Now it's all left up to Swaylin and Slippery, but it's still a 2v2. Very doable for the defense, but as one peeks in, he can't react to both in time. It's Tones with 4 in the round. 2 to start out, 2 to end it off. And that might be the moment where One Shot let it slip away from them on map 1.
Oh my god, Tones gets a second chance at life. He burns one of those 9 lives and just comes out and gets a quad after being gifted a second chance in that round. My lord, I cannot believe he was able to whip around and get that one, and I know One Shot they're just banging their heads against their desks for that one. Storms, I think that was, who unlucky.
All started with the castle barricade.
Unlucky.
It was all downhill from there.
Just a tough one. Just a tough round the whole time. Can't count. Can't shoot. I mean, there was a good surprise behind the cigar. I mean, that was great. I love that kind of play. But then, the decision, do you just go with the SMG-12? Do you click V? Do you just go for the knife? Do you just...
It happens. You know, he had to play. He perfectly capitalized off of Mystic's poor intel gathering.
Yep.
But hey, you miss shots sometimes. It happens.
Yep.
And well, it happened at what could be the worst moment in the match.
Yeah, that is not ideal. And
I would agree, Jonah. I would agree.
in a mirror image, again, the first half and the second half of this map, so far, the exact same, right? It was Mystic to take 3 in a row.
It's kind of weird how that
They go Bar
worked
and
out, didn't
Cocktail
it?
twice, they go down to Kitchen. Right? It was One Shot 3 in a row. They got Bar and Cocktail twice, lose both. Now they go down to Kitchen. If we're going off that, this is a Mystic round.
Well, and you know another thing that at least has been a bit of a shift as opposed to a mirror. Now Mystic, they're winning the opening duels a little bit more. Got it the previous 2 rounds, ended up winning it out here. They get Quartz, the smoke player, as opposed to last time where they found the Echo. Another key operator taken down. Smoke and the Echo, both very important, but a bomb from the top ropes from Slippery. The intel gained outside the map. Sure, you lost the smoke, but taking on the ace and the top fragger for Mystic, and no offense to Quartz, but I think that's a better trade for one shot.
Oh, what a toss there from the window. That was from downtown, took him out from above, and now Mystic, yeah, they're gonna have to work their way back in this round without their hard breacher. Not the most exciting position to be in. They do have, you know, a couple people in the building looking to find these frags. Doc is actually all the way up in VIP, dealing with some pressure from above. That's going to be Swaylin, who's realized, wait a second, we've given up VIP control, and now Mystic are running amok on this bottom floor.
Wow.
Gunner gets another. Right after Newers gets one. Gunner has dropped for his troubles, but he should be able to be recovered, and Mystic have turned what looked like an impossible situation into a 4v2 very quickly.
We cut away, but that was another whiff by one shot. I believe Slippery got the drop on Gunner, and Gunhouse somehow managed to take him down right as he got the kill. But there we go, 2 for 1 shot. So we're at a 2v2 once again. Jonah, it seems a little familiar to what we just saw. A whiff following, or a 2v2 following a whiff? Curious how this is working out. Now 2v1 as Doc picks up one. Swaylin, the World Eater, the Demon of Cafe. Now trying to deny overtime for Mystic. He hears the Yana clone activated. He can pick up that kill. The Yana clone blocks it, but he's able with the rest of his entire mag to pick it up. That is Case as well. Excellent point. But Doc is close by to pick this up. A whole minute to work with. This round is going to end a hell of a lot quicker. He switches to the pistol, playing close. Doc isn't looking his way. He can pick this one up. Body shots to do it. Almost the reverse comeback. 3 rounds in a row. One shot managed to end the map. 7-5. A hell of a lot closer than I think we were anticipating.
Well, one shot pull it out, and probably one of the most exciting cafes I have seen. It definitely in recent memory. That one was thrilling to say the least. I mean, incredible aggression coming out on that first half from Mystic, answered by nutty aggression coming out from one shot on their defensive half, finally breaking what looked like a troubling pattern for both defensive teams, and pulling out that win 7-5 in the final round of regulation. So much aggression from both of these teams, and honestly, we saw a smattering of different success with that aggression. It looked like it was all working, and then all of a sudden that aggression was getting punished. And I mean, one shot, they will have the edge right now, taking their own map pick. It was a bit close, but they pulled it out.
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to emphasize, is good for one shot. You won your map. That was still a very good showing for Mystic, especially in the first 3 rounds, and of course, well, final 2 rounds before they ended up losing the last one. It's still about as good of a showing for Mystic as you could expect. They're going in definitely warmed up, definitely with the some bit of momentum as well, and now they're going Coastline. Map that one shot don't look too good on, and definitely Mystic prefer out of a lot of the maps in the pool where they can just sort of run around, be aggressive. It worked quite a bit on Cafe when they were able to get that opening pick, and now this is their playground. This is their map pick. But before we go, of course, I do want to thank one of our wonderful sponsors, Mike and Ike's. Always the tried and true sponsor for SCS Season 6. I think definitely, honestly, I kind of just made this up last week, but like, if I were to give the Casting Links trademark, Mike and Ike's trademark player of the map, I don't know. Both Tones and Swaylin were kind of crazy on that map. I don't really know who I'd give it to. Who do you think did better? Who would you say? Right now,
frankly, I don't know. I just want to give it to Storms for the whole mess play that we saw in
No,
Cigar.
you can't give him a consolation prize. That's an insult, not an award.
I just gotta do it. We will get a chance to take a look at our stats when we come back from this quick break. We'll take a look at our stats, and we'll take a look at Coastline when we come back right after this break. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Storms, and I'm a player for One Shot. It feels good to be back playing against more like T3 players and T3 teams. It makes some changes for us in the preparation and in our game plans. It's going to be great to be facing other teams that are not in CL usually. So yeah, it feels great to be playing new teams, new faces, new players. It's practice, it's experience for teams or new players. You know, when you make roster change, build something with the new players, and even with old players, when you don't make roster change, it helps a lot to prepare for the next stages. I think it's pretty good to have practice outside of CL season. I think we're gonna be able to do great. We had a pretty good stage 3 in CL. E3 teams are sometimes a little bit more unpredictable, so it's gonna be harder for us to play structured and like to stay focused on our strategies and game plans in general. I think we're gonna be able to do well in general. When I was younger, like 14, 15 years old, when the game just started, I was watching a lot of Vitality on Xbox. They were posting some scrims VOD on YouTube, so I was watching that, and that was the start of my career right there. I really wanted to do what they were doing, and I was watching every game they were playing. Yeah, that was my inspiration right there. I think Swalen and Kilo are PL ready right now. They showed it in the Stage 2 and 3 of CL playoffs too. So they're really good support players and good fraggers at the same time. It's crazy. Sweden is able to kill everybody while he's going to plant. Same thing for Kilo. He's killing everybody with Mav and Maestro. So these guys are really good players and PL ready in my opinion. Ashen or Asian, just because they steal my elo in rank, so I never win against these guys, so I'm scared of them. Like, really, they are my nemesis for sure. Surfy sport with Ashen, Asian, it's gonna be very hard to play against just because they have incredible mechanically skills. But that's gonna make us work hard to beat these guys. I still think we gonna be able to pull up the win, but it's gonna be hard. I like to do a lot of sport. During the winter, I'll play a lot of hockey or snowboard. During the summer, like volleyball, tennis is very nice to play too. Other than that, I like to party a lot with friends and drink. So we put fireworks from Katy Perry every single game day. The GOAT song, honestly. I watch so much movie. I don't think I have one favorite, but like Harry Potter and Hunger Games would be in my top 2 for sure.
B3, make that a 1v2.
2 seconds left. It's gonna come down.
We're making a third as he looks up. Making a finds the drop 3.
Stunning here from
Map 1 was close, but one shot pulled out that win, 7-5. But really, Carter, I mean, we said it a lot, Map 1. Aggression is what characterized that map, and I suspect that we're going into Coastline next. We're going to have a similar story.
You know, I want to be honest, Jonah.
Yeah.
I think that's, if we can count on anything coming true in this map, it'll be that. I feel like that's a pretty safe bet to make going into Coastline. Mystics map pick as well, a team that we already saw tried a couple different avenues of, say, ratting out on the defense. Did not as much as I expected, honestly. I feel like we saw a little bit more of it from one shot on their defense than we did from Mystic. But Coastline, their playground, yeah, we're going to see some aggression. Seeing some replays here, of course, you can see how close this match seemed to be, how not close it was soon after, and then how close it became towards the very end. Very odd pace that map had, but 6 rounds in a row for one shot was almost not enough. Tones going massive in multiple rounds, whiff from players, but on top of that, some early aggression by utility or aggression in the mid to late round trying to retake it for their team. Got one shot the victory in the end, even though that final round still looked like it was going Mystic's way. To pull up the stats, you can see Tones and Swalen, the 2 players I mentioned, definitely a little bit of a step ahead of the rest in that map.
Oh, Swalen going nuts. I mean, 19 and 6, I mean, overall on the KD, plus 13 overall, plus 4 on the entry as well, which is just impressive. To 1.89. Jeez. I mean, the rating as well. Swalen, nuts. Slippery Storms also had pretty good performances. As you said, Tones was 100%. Pretty strong on the Malusi on defense. That was not the most common of operators. We, especially, you know, in the recent meta, we don't always see that Malusi, but Tones made it work well and put up some pretty good numbers while doing it.
Hey, and you know, I was there was some clouding on Storms that castle play, but 100% cost. So
yeah. There you
Maybe,
go.
hey, you might not be able to count sometimes, but that's the number that matters most. He knows what's up. He knows how to play. 100% cost. Good play from Storms. Overall, Court's slacking a little bit, but clearly in the end, wasn't a deal breaker for one shot, even though it might have made it a little bit close. Would like to see him maybe step up a little bit more. He mostly plays on-site operators on the defense, so not so much in harm's way, but on the attack, maybe trying to get in the game a little bit more. You saw him playing a little bit more passively on coastline. You're going to need your entries on point. So Quartz has been having a bit of a lax game. Also playing some positions that just aren't as aggressive. Either we need to maybe see a switch up going into coastline, maybe put Swalen on that entry instead of Quartz, not too sure. But you can't have one of your aggressive players on the attack, the side that one shot is starting on as well, be slacking going into coastline, which is also your opponent's pick.
Yeah, one shot, they need to be firing on all cylinders if they want to win this series in 2 maps. If they want to win coastline, they need to be flawless. It's going to be tough. It really is. Mystic, just their play style, just their nature. They are simply better at this map than most, and one shot, they are just not a coastline team. So every single player, but as you said, Carter, especially those entries, need to be playing out of their minds. We'll see that here in just a few moments as we get through this operator ban phase. The Thatcher, the first taken off the board, not too unusual for coastline. The Thatcher isn't always essential, but in terms of clearing out that utility, just maybe not even hard walls, but just all that projectile denial utility, Thatcher and those EMPs are still incredibly valuable to have. We won't have them here, though, in this coastline iteration, nor will we have the Lion, a more unique ban coming out here.
Yeah, and we can probably expect Valkyrie coming up next, of course. Very common ban on every map, but on coastline, this was where, alongside Consulate when it was in the pool, where she was really banned almost universally, it felt like, every single series because of, well, the potential for aggression both outside the map. Well, actually, that's one of the big reasons as to why she was banned. Final ban coming up will be Mira. Again, maybe not as strong on a map like Cafe, but strong on most maps and still a comfort ban for both of the teams in the lobby right now. Overall, for coastline, I wouldn't say it's anything too crazy. Without having as much emphasis on a hard breach, you can afford to ban operators like Lion, who definitely are extremely strong on this map. I am interested to see if one shot will bring the Hibana to start out. Yes, they will. It's something we've seen a little bit more with the changes made to the map. And we'll see Mystic not necessarily react in tow, but definitely picking some operators who put the aggression and the gunfights before the utility.
Well, Mystic coming out here on their opponent's map pick, they will be electing to start on the attack. Now, normally on coastline, that is pretty good to see, but frankly, Carter, I am terrified for one shot because Mystic, just the way they were running around just all over the place on defense, you put that team who did that on a semi-structured map like Cafe, you throw them onto coastline. Oh dear God, I have no idea what to expect, but I do expect running all over the map. I mean, we've got the Vigil, a perfect operator for that. We've got the Alibi, a perfect operator for that with her MX4 Storm, and we've got the Oryx, a perfect operator for that.
Yeah, this is what I expected from Mystic on coastline. Now my expectation is success, at least in the first round. But as we've said before, one shot have very recently succeeded in shutting down some aggression. It was a little bit hit or miss against Mystic in the last round, but especially in their latter attacking rounds, they did it very well. Winning some of those opening duels, though, was mainly Swalen, who was, more on flank watch, still catching a lot of those players trying to get aggressive as the opening pick. Here, he's moved to the Yana. He's more so on that entry alongside Quartz as opposed to previously on Cafe. I think that's a good change. Of course, I've mentioned maybe taking Quartz off, but still seeing Swalen, who's clearly on in this series, moving to a more aggressive role. That's what we like, or what I like to see in this map. So far, 30 seconds in, Mystic hasn't really got too aggressive so far. We've heard some explosions, but no shots fired towards the attack just yet. With an Alibi inside a luggage and a Vigil on cool vibes, still players, plenty of players. Oh, Vigil actually rotated up, so yeah, definitely players in position to get aggressive once the attack makes their entry.
Oh yeah, I mean, Mystic, they do not even want to let one shot get close to the site right now. Of course, that's going to be easier said than done, but this aggression is coming out, and Storm's nearly losing out. Has a breaching hammer in his hands, and didn't realize that Newers was coming up and just swinging him straight on. Neither player is actually going to get dealt a single bit of damage. Only Gunner is the one with a little bit of damage to his name, but everyone right now will play a little bit safer as One Shot finally make their entry and finally make their mark on the scoreboard. Slippery starting things off, finally tracking down Gunner, who he's been searching for quite some time. Swaylin striking up next. A good flick, and Feltwinter is caught sleeping. No idea how Felt was able to lose out that gunfight. Looked like he had more than an advantage there, but with that bit of an error, Mystic are down 2 men.
Yeah, well, helpless when Feltwinter just was not even looking Swaylin's direction, though. It appeared that neither player was really aware of the other's presence, so a little bit worrying for Swaylin. That actually, based on how the trend of that gunfight sort of changing drastically in the half second it happened, could have lost his life, but still, One Shot. 3v5 with a minute remaining, looking very good, especially with some verticality coming up. Sledge able to get some very nice shots onto Newers, who's then cut down by Kilo, watching the kitchen window. The Orcs rotates directly into the line of fire and the line of sight from the Hibana. Tones and Doc now the only 2 left. Lucy holding main lobby is an important position, but there's players already taking it. Now he's the only one left outside of the site. So Zofia around the corner. It's an easy pre-fire for the Malusi, but when there's 4 other players bearing down in your position, not much you can do beyond that 1 kill on the Zofia. First round going the way of One Shot, and pretty dominantly, given our hyping up of Mystic.
Very dominantly at that. Nearly a flawless round, practically a flawless round. Tones will deny it in the last few seconds, so good for him in that regard. But other than that, that was very dominant from One Shot the entire way through. A textbook roam clear, which is not easy to do against a team that is built for the roam and is built for that aggression. We saw 3 players on the roam, all of whom got eventually cut down. It was Gunner, who was that alibi lurking mostly in Aqua and over in Luggage Hall, likely who eventually tried to drop away but couldn't quite do it because the Twitch was Slippery was bearing down on his position. Next was Feltwinter, who was playing top of White Stairs over by Feeder, by that rotate. And next was Newers, who was kind of jumping up and down all over the map, but again, could not find safety anywhere because One Shot, even though they took a good bit of time to actually get in the building, I'd argue they took 90 seconds before the bulk of that roam clear actually began. All the time they took was spent just getting their drones in position, getting their players in position. So every time they spotted out just one roamer, they had somebody quickly right behind them to get that trade or at least find somebody to kill.
They'll attempt kitchen a second time, pretty much sticking to the beats you would expect based on their previous defense. Of course, there were opportunities for that to go in Mystic's favor. Of course, Feltwinter's engagement very narrowly went his way. Maybe playing a little bit more close together, trying to keep those buddy systems intact could be what Mystic's going for, because I don't think you need to fully course correct or fully just, revert to playing inside of the site and not getting aggressive. I think that's the opposite of Mystic's game, and while it might not have worked for one round, they should stick to it. But definitely here you can see a bit of a dual peak on 2 different floors, to be fair, so a little bit different than what I had in mind, but still something that is nice to see. One player playing on the top floor, Tones down below close by, same with Feltwinter and Newers. Some potential for aggression and some potential for rotations depending on where the attack is pushing. Feltwinter in a bit of a risky position in front of this soft wall. A bullet probably landed. Well, a lot more bullets land into his shoulder than I expected and likely that he expected. Bit of a tricky position. He might not have been spotted, but that was a pretty easy read from Quartz, just playing guesswork if that was the case.
Slippery had a Twitch drone actually sneaking around the corner by Vase. We just saw it on the bottom left of the screen. Yep, he spotted out Feltwinter and pinged him, and Felt had no idea. So, yeah, he was not much longer for the world once that drone spotted him out. And, yeah, he got melted through the wall. And Gunner does have a trade, though. MX4 Storm in hand. He will take the head of Slippery rather quickly. So, good job in besting the Twitch, who bested him in the previous round. And here comes Newers stepping up, more aggressive than One Shot we're expecting at this point in the round. They thought maybe they had cleared out Vase and Cool Vibes successfully, but, well, they were clearly wrong. Newers, successful in that endeavor, will now back off and look for another gunfight a bit later in the round, but making quick to escape with his spoils. Now a 3v4 favoring Mystic as the tides have turned once again.
Yeah, we saw some elements of this on Cafe, especially the first 3 defensive rounds that Mystic won. They did a very good job of using the staircases on Cafe to rotate to positions the attack we're focusing on, or rotate back to the site once the attack transitioned to focus there. Exactly what we're seeing from Mystic in this second defensive round. The moment they start pushing into Hookah after the initial body loss, Newers rotates up. He's able to get a kill, catch the attack off guard. We're seeing those good plays we saw by Mystic in the first couple rounds on Cafe re-enter round number 2 of Coastline. Now with 50 seconds left, up a man, Mystic can afford to rotate back and play these power positions. Gunner can hold main lobby. Newers can hold over by Sunrise. So 2 big entry points for the site that the attack would very much like to have, depending on what take they're going for, are not really something they can effectively go for with only 35 seconds remaining and not enough manpower to effectively coordinate an attack and an offensive on either of those positions. All they have is this verticality, and there's still some positions that the defense can use to their advantage. Tones, for example, not necessarily on the site, but a bit further off, finds a kill onto Swalen. Gunner's position inside of main lobby, finally finding some pressure, but there's Newers again. He can move up that hall, help out Gunner's. The alibi rotates back, and now Storm's the only one left. There's nobody he can count on, whereas Gunner can count on 3 other people to succeed where he fails, but he will succeed without the need of any assistance from the rest of his team. 1-1 between Mystic and One Shot.
Yeah, always a risk to go back to the same bomb site twice, but man, they really did make it work, going back to Kitchen again and making sure that One Shot never even had a chance at, it seemed like, looking at the objective. The closest they got was putting somebody outside that service doorway. I believe that was Swalen, who got fried from that long angle from Tones, like you said. But as far as the rest of that attack went, they just were not allowed to get as much pressure as we saw them apply in the previous round. They're clear. It started off so well. They spotted out Feltwinter. First and foremost, they had a perfect drone on his position, and they took him out decisively. But then it was the aggression from Mystic. They re-aggressed. They retook a bit of that top floor control, at least Newers did, and clearly One Shot were not prepared for that quite enough. Newers was then able to escape because the other player outside Hookah at the time was just sitting on their drone, clearly misdroning the Oryx on the stairs, but droning elsewhere, and wasn't able to get that trade in response. So good adjustment there from Mystic, tying us up at 1, working things out on the defense. So now they'll switch things up and head towards Hookah and Billiards as their bomb site.
What worked well for Mystic last time was, of course, denying a lot of those positions for the attack to entry in, either from, say, Sunrise or main lobby to effectively mount and execute later on. Again, a lot of sites on Coastline, that is, well, of course, it's a philosophy that is relevant on every map, but Coastline, it always feels like there's 1 or 2 that the defense should very well hold. Say here, Penthouse and Theater. That's a position that I imagine Mystic, if say One Shot, try to open up that VIP wall and try to move on in, that's something that they're going to want to hold. Maybe Sunrise as well to stop any verticality from below. There's no buck, but you can still make some good work with maybe some lifelines or some nades from below that Storms, in particular for the latter, could look to go for. Tones holding inside of Office as well. Very common position to start out. A drone flies in, but nobody from the attack is there to capitalize. Instead, they've rotated up to Aquarium and the roof respectively. Tones, ooh, you can see itching to run out. There's nobody holding a direct angle on his position, but there are some players outside the blue bar window holding his cutoff that if he tries to rotate off, might catch him. Is there anybody there? There's somebody with a nade outside, but at the moment, Tones is just trapped there. But what is this? Kilo's just moved into the site. Nobody watching Aquarium. A massive lack of intel for Mystic, and they might have got the first 2 picks, but they got an important one because Kilo's down, and now man advantage for the defense.
Court still sticking this plant, though, and that's going to be a mistake because Tones is just lighting everyone up. Looks like that final blow will come in, and the bit of a rush attempt there from One Shot. Well, it turns out they're going to get pretty much nothing with it. Seconds away from completing that plan. I loved the attempt there, but Mystic just had somebody in place at the right time who was able to step up and shut it down. It was complicated there, and I'm not sure. I don't know exactly who ended up killing the planter, but good timing because that quickly could have been a disaster. It looked like Mystic were a bit too focused on that roam, on just kind of sprinting all over the map, as we saw from Tones down below, that they left the site a little bit vulnerable, but they, I guess, made us think twice about that. They actually did have more coverage than we thought, and then One Shot thought.
Yeah. The fact that they're able to do that with basically how much One Shot got. I mean, they had the big window player. They had some coverage on over by Aqua Balcony, of course, Kilo inside of the site. With that big window player, really difficult to take down. But I believe Mystic actually. I'm assuming they took down the big window player. If the big window player was still alive, that's a major misplay. Don't know how the planter died then. But assuming you got taken down, that's really good for Mystic. And of course, you kind of need to take that fight at that point. And really impressive they won it. They're able to take down Hookah, put it in the win column, and well, shut down any sort of play like that from one shot. And I imagine we won't see much of that in the future unless it's just an opportunity you can't refuse. Penthouse and Theater, as opposed to Blue Bar Sunrise, the next site that the defense will go to. And this is one where if you've talked about, maybe holding positions, putting some pressure in spots outside of the map, you need to hold VIP in this position. Of course, with the Maverick on the board, it'll be a little bit more difficult and that wall might fall, but holding VIP is something you need to do, as well as 90. Both of those, defense has to make a top priority.
Well, after that first round, Mystic have chained 2 in a row, and they've moved things into the lead here. One shot hoping to bring things back. Again, they chose attack. They wanted to kick things off on the attacking side. Even though it's a map they're not as familiar or as comfortable with, we should expect them at least to come out a little bit stronger. But right now, Mystic have regained that advantage. One shot will have to bring something back, but doing so on a site that, is only recently kind of reintroduced to this meta here. Ever since the changes were made to this VIP wall, those 2 reinforcements you can see, Feltwinter locking down with that Coyote Electro Claw, and Kilo now using that Breaching Torch to deal with. Ever since those walls were added, this site became viable. Now that VIP can actually be held. That's what Feltwinter is doing here, and hoping that he can find his first kill of the map, or at least use this utility to the best of his ability here.
Nade sent on through, but it's the first kill found for Mystic. Tone's able to peek down over towards, Hookah, I believe. Takes down the sledge, so a set of nades gone. Now all you have for those are Kilo, who already used one to clear out that Electric Claw, but with no other hard breacher on the board aside from that Maverick, if you want to open that wall, well, it's got to be the guy to do it. Trying to put some pressure to hold and contest that wall a little bit more. Feltwinter still playing very aggressively with Electric Claw and a C4, but the second nade, a lot better cooked and a lot better placed than the first, as Feltwinter's distracted with a player inside of Hookah. A nade lands at his feet and can't really react in time to try to save himself. So man count now even. They're able to open up that VIP wall, but with a minute remaining, it's still very good for the attack to open up that position, but they start needing to put some pressure inside of 90 and push some Mystic players out of these positions, because if they go in with a 4v4, it might be an attacker side of the map, but it's still looking like a Mystic round if they could win their fights.
I mean, and they're looking for fights. They're not only just taking the fights when one shot come to them. I mean, we can see Noor's using that soft destruction through the wall, trying to just find anybody willing to push into the building. But even with 40 seconds left, one shot are still wary of doing even that, knowing that Mystic are approaching or covering several different angles. They still have 2 players off site, both Doc and Gunner. Gunner, who's down below, now rotating upstairs, knowing that an execute has to come through eventually. But 20 seconds, it's approaching. And one shot, they are still sitting still. They've got to get a move on here. And only now are they putting somebody on this big window repel. Newers now is a little bit trapped here in bathroom and is in a bit of an uncomfortable position. And Soylent will confirm that with a good kill there. Slippery the follow-up, but Gunner and Doc, they've got 2 answers for that. Now it's a 1v1. Slippery on the long angle. Doc out of ammo. Slippery on the pistol kill, and he will get it done. Running out of ammo, the Jaeger couldn't quite get that final blow. But a pistol duel to finish it out. I mean, no better way in this kind of matchup.
That is tragic right there. That is, I mean, based on his reaction and how that looked, if that 416 just had a couple more bullets, he had that kill in the bag. But sometimes in the heat of the moment, heat of battle, you lose track of the ammo, and that ends up happening. Still overall for one shot, a bit of a shaky round throughout. They're able to get the kill onto the player in bathroom, and that really opened things up. But a lot of players, most of them for Mystic, even the bathroom player to an extent, really didn't feel that much pressure until late in the round. As you mentioned, a player only fully rappelled up and positioned himself on big window with 20 seconds remaining. It was 30 seconds left when Tones actually opened up that wall and they started moving in. It took him so much of the round. He got the Electric Claw off. He took down the Cade there, and it still took him a hell of a lot longer to open up that wall. It might have been a win for one shot and even made Mystic rotate back down to Kitchen, go for a different side as opposed to that. Still some weak points throughout, especially a very slow attack that could have been their undoing in the end. But they don't have to worry about that anymore. They get to go to Kitchen. That's sure, it's a site that Mystic won, but one that one shot have done as well by effectively shutting down that early aggression by the defense.
Well, one shot made that one happen by the skin of their teeth there. That was what, a 20-second okay go execute that ended in a pistol duel with about 1 second remaining on the
I still
clock.
can't believe he ran out of ammo, dude. Like, that is so unfortunate.
That is, and sometimes for one shot, that's all they needed to take the edge. But certainly they would like to win a round with a little bit more breathing room next time. They've got 2 more attacking rounds to make something happen. This one returning to Kitchen, a site that they have had one successful and one unsuccessful result on. The first round, it was a decisive clear that enabled them to find that success. The second round, it was Mystic who denied that very clear despite losing that opening duel. And now Newers will be looking to do the same thing yet again. The Oryx on the Cool Vibe stairs, essentially the player who really won the round for Mystic last time, will be looking to do it again. Combine that with some pressure from Tones below, just trying to deny this entry at all costs.
Well, at least for Feltwinter, this round and this game so far, it is not working out for him. Oh, wow. Gunner read like a book. You see the hard ping on his position. And actually, coincidentally, just like Feltwinter in, I believe, another round on Kitchen. Might have not been Kitchen. I think it was. Either way.
First round, same position, he died, yeah.
Yeah. Feltwinter actually wasn't talking about that. The hard ping on his position when he was sprayed through the softball of hookah. That's the coincidence I'm talking about. All right, Tones also pretty much completely shut down without Slippery even breaking a sweat on that flick. If we're talking about shutting down the early round aggression, well, that has been the name of the game so far for Mystic. Doc moves into security. He's able to stop Slippery, who was solo entering by himself. So you can pretty easy kill without any worry of it being traded. But Doc's still on low HP. Worse for wear. Newer's the only one at full health. And he's holding down, I believe that is him at the kitchen doorway. So a nice spot to hold, but in the 2v4, a reversal for one shot's round 2 loss on Kitchen. Now they have the manpower to clear out these positions, but Newers, he's still got something to say about it, even though Doc is now off the board.
Yeah, Newers going for a bit of a top floor retake, but the only thing he'll do is leave his teammate out to dry. Looks like he'll spot one player unaware. Yep, there goes Storms. But now Newers has to find a way to make the top floor control work for him. He'll spot out the toes of one. Couple of bullets there, but not quite the toe shot that we've seen in the play of the year that we've seen before. Try to get spraying through the wall there, but Quartz will pop right up the LMG in hand, and we'll quickly get that trade in return. But well played there from one shot, establishing that 4v2 and then finishing things out with 3 players on the board in those closing moments. Definitely felt a lot more like round 1 than round 2.
Yeah. Definitely recapturing a lot of those successes. I mean, that was just Mystic getting outplayed at every single turn. Both in terms of the intel, you saw that's how Gunner was taken down, just in the reactions. Tone's not even aware that Swalen was outside of the office door. He's a bit positioned a bit far away from his team, I will say, but still in the right place at the right time. Not going to complain too hard about that. And Feltwinter as well, the Vigil, who probably out of all those 3 defenders, the Alibi, the Malusi, and the Vigil, probably the one that could cause the most problems for the attack, just being a little bit more tricky to nail down. He's obviously not been having the best game, and, well, probably one of the most effective roamers in terms of utility taken off the board. It's pretty easy cleanup for one shot after that. They've secured themselves 3 rounds on the attack, probably a little bit worse than I think they were hoping for, but for Mystic, who likely anticipated they were starting out on the defense, it's still not the best showing for them if this goes 4-2.
And never like to single out one player, right? I mean, it's always a lot of errors that, causes you to lose a round. But, we got to talk about Feltwinter here. It's worth mentioning Feltwinter subbing in, coming in for the first time for this team. Sweater was the top-rated player in SCS6. And unfortunately, Mystic no longer have Sweater on their team. Feltwinter replacing him. Obviously, you can tell that there has been, there is a bit of a difference felt there. And it doesn't just impact that one player and impact that one role, but it obviously impacts everybody and how they have to shift up and play around somebody. And Felt has yet to find the scoreboard, something he would definitely like to do in this 6th round, especially if Mystic want to take this 3-3 half. He'll be looking to just not get naded out or spotted out early. We've seen him die into a couple of unfortunate situations. Got pinged when he didn't realize it. That was in round 2, now that I remembered it. Well, he'll be looking to make his impact felt on the scoreboard this time.
Say, well, you said it, but Mystic felt a difference?
Pain.
I'm sorry. My fault.
I heard myself when I said it. I'm like, is Carter going to point this out? I hope not.
Yes, I did. I pointed it out in the moment and now as well. Quartz looking in a prime position to, I Don't believe that's Feltwinter. I just saw him playing the position last time. No, that is Doc and Tones, but it's Doc to get that kill. As one repels in a big window, Doc is also there to almost catch him on the entry. And even though it's a 4v4, Slippery is definitely in an isolated position right now, with one down below and 1 to 2 players inside of 90. Now, no, 1 player on white stairs. Bit of problematic for him. Doc also holding this position, but with the tracers and the gunshots firing over there, Slippery knows that position, but oh, Jaeger ekes down the stairs just as the Twitch moves her eyes over to that direction. So escaping a potential 3 versus 4 and keeping it even as Doc moves back down to the first floor. Still some players on that top floor, as of course, it is the bomb site. 3 in specifically, as Doc's now rotating up Cool Vibes. One shot taking this from over on Penthouse and Theater, a complete reversal to what they've done before, which is good because there's no players actively playing that position. Bad news is, still players getting aggressive inside of 90, still players getting aggressive and peeking into luggage that you have to dismantle, and there's only about a minute left. The time and the window to do that comfortably with an execute in mind is running short.
Right, and last time we saw that they were not quite comfortable on the site, so they decided, you know what, let's just push it, let's just try to get this bomb down early, and well, we saw how that went. Not so well for the attack. So this time they're taking it a bit more methodically. They're slowing things down. They're going to have to deal with Newers first, who is now dealing with 3 players at the same time, and that is not going to be very sustainable. So he'll be downed, and there is no way he can be picked back up on his feet at this point in the round. And so essentially a 4v3 here, and well, now he's finished off, so a confirmed 4v3 for one shot. Only 30 seconds, though. This plant going down and perfect coverage by Swaylin means that this is going to be a 4v2. Now 4v1, a triple kill for Swaylin. He's hunting for this last kill. He wants the quad, but Doc denies it, downing Slippery in the process. But this is now a 2v1 post plant, and Doc is on just a sliver of HP. Both attackers, now turned defenders, have backed off and are playing much more passively. Doc may consider capping this diffuser for a moment. He will do so. Not going to stick it, though, as he hears Kilo vault up and step up and try to get aggressive. Kilo gets down for his troubles. Now it's going to be all up to Storms as Doc secures the triple kill. May have just spotted out the last player, but this one's actually doable for Doc. He's sticking this diffuser. He knows he's got one more chance. Storms has to step on up at the right time, swinging the corner, and he will do it, and that is a 4-2 half for one shot, recovering the attacking side and making it look easy in that last round.
Yeah, the 2 final kills there, of course, Doc being the last one alive. The 2 kills before that, I believe it was Newers and maybe Gunner? Either way, names aren't important. What is important is how they died. Newers in particular was holding Aquarium pretty aggressively, trying to stop the entry from the one shot. And honestly, with how close it was, I get his play. Problem is, he decided to retake it and play aggressive. The reason that's a problem is one shot, we're going for an Aquarium execute. And there were 2 people in luggage and 1 player going upside down rappel on Aqua. So I get the idea. If there was maybe less people, wouldn't have been terrible. But considering he put himself directly into a crossfire from Mystic, bit of poor positioning and poor timing there from the Wamai. Same thing goes for the Cade. Of course, Felwinter, I was sort of forced to make a play. It's not his fault. He was trying to deny the entry into the site. But same thing, as the player's getting the bomb down, there are multiple members from one shot watching the exact hole he peeks from. At that point, after Newers fell, it was a 3v4 for one shot. It's very difficult to bring that back. I don't believe there was a big window player, so that is good, but with no player behind Pink Bar either to get aggressive in tandem with the Cade, not much they could do. Still a 4-2 half on the defense. It's not terrible for Mystic, but now they really got to bring these home on the attack, because if one shot are able to channel some of that same aggression, hey, maybe it works out. They're able to squeak by 2 or 3 rounds in the process.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Well, after a very successful half for one shot, they now shift things over to the defensive side. On a tough map to defend against a tough team to defend against, but they've got a 2-round margin of error to work with, you could say. They can try to figure out how Mystic want to approach these attacks. They've got 2 rounds of cushion to just treat as potentially like that recon period where they're just trying to learn how Mystic attack this map and how they can best deal with it. Swaylin, he doesn't seem to have to learn, though. He's going to step right up and just do what he does best, fragging out. Now he's at 11 kills, looking for a 13th.
Oh
Good
my.
Lord, that's a nice shot. He's looking for one more, but Feltwinter's going to deny it and find his first kill on the scoreboard. But in the meantime, Kilo has retaken that position in office. He'll find the trade, and Storms as well here in Sunrise Bar will silence Doc, leaving Tones all alone. He'll spot him out. They know his position. This is a 1v4 that Tones is unlikely to win.
I mean, this is out cold for Mystic right now. They have been TKO'd onto the floor. New style on a Tones right there. Through the wall for the Aruni. I mean, what more can we really say about that, Jonah? I mean, I feel like it was pretty obvious. One shot's a big problem right there. It began with Swaylin, continued with Swaylin, and at that point, it really just wasn't... It didn't take much to blow over the rest of the attack at that point. Swaylin's able to hold down inside of Office, pick up 2 kills. Bit of a... I wouldn't even say a miss, like a bad clear. Swaylin just smoked Gunner off a blue window, smoked the player Office. I mean, they had a pinch set up. It's just... Swaylin was the better player, and that happens sometimes. Could have been better, of course. There's always room for improvement, but they're able to pick up that aggression. Kilo then rotates over to help out Swaylin, meeting the rest of this pressure, trade his death out as well. That's a 2v4 right there with basically barely anything actually expended for the defense. They'll move down to Blue Bar and Sunrise, so I imagine Swaylin is very happy with that. Maybe he can play Office with a little bit more purpose because it's closer to the site. But One Shot are definitely content to pick up that round. One they desperately, I wouldn't say desperately needed actually, but one they will take in stride and be very happy with.
Clear really never got started, did it? I mean,
No, not
just
really.
Thinking back to what you said, it was just Swaylin.
Never
You're
started.
right. You're right. It was just Swaylin just tearing them apart. Sometimes that's the thing with unpredictable attacking teams, the aggressive ones. Sometimes they become predictable over a certain period of time. And maybe Swaylin just guessed right. He's like, you know what? Here comes an Office clear. I'm ready for it. But boy, did he ever guess right? 2 incredible kills, and then he had Kilo nearby. I think probably playing over in main lobby to start, then rotated toward down security over towards Office to just be someone there to trade that one out. Okay, though, Storms is gonna try to get aggressive yet again, and Feltwinder just says absolutely not. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of the issue with that spawn peak a little bit, is if you really want to look over at a Lamborghini, they can come from your left side if there's 2 people spawn over there, so a little bit of a needless death for Storms. C4 off the board as well, the only one for the attack, or the defense, excuse me, so a little bit problematic, but hey, it's One Shot. They can still make this work, right? Kilo gets the first kill on a Gunner, the Jackal, who could clear out some of these roamers. Second kill on a Doc. Okay, see? They're not out of the woods. They're actually, no, they are out of the woods. It's Mystic who are still searching desperately for an escape, for the pain that One Shot are unloading upon them. 1 death, the opening one. Storm's taken down without much as a peep from the Mozzie. Well, One Shot unleash a roar afterwards, moving and sailing onto match point.
Wow, I mean, One Shot just kind of flicked that switch, and they just said, you know what, we do not want to let Mystic come back here. 6-2, a 4-round margin, and yeah, they've got eyes on match point now, which is troubling for Mystic. It's another one of those situations that these are the margins that Mystic, I mean, I'm confident can bring it back from no problem, but when it's match point, and now it is also quarterfinal point, yeah, that is not an easy comeback to make with that kind of stakes on the line. It does suck for Mystic, right? I mean, they go through the group stage with a flawless run. They play 2 games, they win both. They come into the quarterfinals and they lose their best player, and now they are staring down defeat. It's tough, but you know, One Shot didn't have the best group stage, so they weren't the highest seeded team in their group. Therefore, the higher seeded team like Mystic is gonna just get a bad draw sometimes. And One Shot, they are playing, we said they had to play like their SI qual One Shot if they wanted to win this one, and I frankly think they are. And even more than that, they're just playing out of their mind.
Definitely, without question. I mean, again, no offense to the teams that have played Mystic before. I mean, you know, IF, you know, very good team who has improved heavily from where they were, or even all the way back in their iteration in Stage 1 of Challenger League. They've improved so much, but when it comes to just getting in the face of the attack, actually trying to be aggressive about the attack and the defense, Mystic are now, they're getting a taste of their own medicine. They're actually going against a team who both can and want to play that way. Players like Swaylin, more than happy to do that. Storms, more than happy. Slippery, more than happy. Kilo, even more than happy at times if he is feeling himself. Mystic are now kind of just finally going up against a team who likes doing to them what they do to other teams. Slippery doesn't get a great go of it, though, but Newers and Feltwinder both downed in response. An exact repeat, play-by-play, beat by beat of the last round. They lose the opening duel, one-shot do, and immediately respond back with 2 subsequent kills immediately after onto the attack. Tones has some intel on a BP placed on the Cool Vibe stairs. Denies some of the intel, but still, the damage has been done. 45 seconds in, they're on the back foot.
Nade coming up. That might be good, but no, not even going to do a lick of damage. The second nade, though, that will get the job done. Storms will say goodbye in this round, and this will return quickly to a 3v3, but only 1 nade now remains on the side of Mystic, and Court still has 2 toxic smokes to work with. Not to mention, he's got a shotgun as well. Perfect for that close Cool Vibes angle. We're going to see a bit of movement on the side of Mystic rotating around. They do still have a ton of time to work with, but Kilo, well, he is the wiser. He's going to take down Gunner, who could not go unnoticed on that balcony position. And now these final 3 one-shot defenders, they are more than eager to find these last 2 kills. It's just Doc, it's just Tones, your 2 top fraggers right now. So if there's anyone you wanted alive when it's this kind of clutch situation, it would be them. Still have some drones in the mix. Doc is using one at the moment and still has 1 nade to work with as well. Not to mention Tones can just send that Gemini clone in and figure out where these final few defenders are positioned. One problem, though, these attackers are not really close to one another. It's going to be hard to play the trade.
Well, you can see right here, the trade's already 1 prong falls. The other falls subsequently by the same player, Swalen taking them down. And we might have predicted one-shot, Jonah. I thought it'd be a bit closer of a fight than that, especially on Mystic's pick. They lose 7-2, 7-5 on the previous map as well. Wow, what a showing by one-shot. Of course, I mean, we're saying that like they didn't just win. The open quals aren't the CL team, aren't even necessarily the favorites going in for some people. I believe they probably were a little bit, but still, Mystic, as we said, they're one of the best T3 teams right now. Flawless in the regular season so far. See them go out this early, I mean, hey, I think you put it perfectly. Luck of the draw sometimes, and well, Mystic got a very, very good opponent as their one and only match in playoffs.
And an opponent who's been heating up, I mean, every single week.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, we just highlighted
Upper
kind
trend.
of their arc, their improvement, and one shot came to play tonight. They came to play tonight, and it took them a few rounds, right? They did get, initially flawless in those first 3, and they had to take a step back and realize, okay, what do we need to do to adjust to Mystic? Here it is, an incredible T3 team. They're pulling out all the stops. They're playing maybe like we would have guessed, but we still haven't prepared enough. They had to make those adjustments on the fly. And what's so impressive about them is that they did, not only making those adjustments on that first map, but taking those lessons, what they learned from that first map, translating that over here to Coastline, and then coming out and putting on a very impressive performance. And even in those areas where Mystic may have excelled in the past against other opponents, even on Cafe, one shot that took down the Coastline, and they said, you know what, we've got this. It doesn't matter how good Mystic can be in certain areas. We're going to punish them every chance we get. We're going to beat them at their own game. We're going to play aggressive. They did that, and once again, Swalen just went nuclear. What can you do?
Yeah, Swalen, I love him so much because, I mean, he didn't come out of nowhere. He had some comp experience, but definitely in CL was my introduction to him, and he always seems to just one-up my expectations of him every time he plays. This series in particular was a very good one for him, as you mentioned. Overall, even when some players like Quartz maybe weren't having the best day, of course, on defense, not playing exactly aggressive roles, but still getting into the fray, still getting on the board on the second map, even though he was lacking on the first. Great effort by one shot overall, and sad to see Mystic go so early in the playoffs, but it's cutthroat out here. Got to show up, and unfortunately, it's a 2-0 for one shot. I do believe, of course, coming up, we'll have some statistics for the map of the overall series later on. We also have a player interview coming up, and I imagine, given the precedent, but also I can see it, so I won't lie to you, we have Quartz coming up soon for an interview to talk about his victory. I always love talking with Quartz, Jonah. He's always a very nice guy. I feel like one of my favorites.
Oh, always has some good things to say. I'm sure he'll talk in depth about their preparedness for this matchup. Before we get there, though, Carter, I think one more shout out is needed for one of our amazing sponsors of SCS6, Mavix Gaming Chairs, of course. They're having their holiday sale. I know the holidays may have passed by, but if you forgot your Christmas gift, you still need to get something for your loved one, or maybe you want to get your favorite cast or something. Hey, I could use a Mavix Gaming Chair. I mean, go to the Mavix holiday sale. right? You can get some pretty awesome sales, 4, 5, 7, 9% on all their different models, plus free shipping. On top of all of that, you can use your NSG code NSG55. That's the code you use at checkout to get an additional $55 of savings for all your Mavix gaming chairs needs. So make sure to take a look at their website at www.mavix.com.
And while you peruse that gaming chair selection, we'll take a look at these stats from the map. That's what we call in the business a segue, if you weren't aware.
Beautiful.
Yeah, moving into, this is not forced whatsoever. Statistics for map number 2. Surprise, surprise, Jonah. Swaylin is top of the leaderboards.
Oh, good God.
I know that might be crazy. I can't believe it. Plus 11.
Those
89%
combined
cost?
statistics, when we see them, they're going to hit different, dude.
I'm going to be transported to the 4th dimension when I see Swaylin's full series statistics. And of course, Mystic, not the showing we of course wanted to see for them on their map pick. Final map for them in SCS Season 6. They were 4-0 going into this, and now they are 4-2. And, well, the 2 are the most important maps out of all of those, unfortunately. So, I mean, do we really need to say all that more? One Shot having an amazing day. Mystic playing a little bit below what we set up and anticipated for them. Who better to speak on this experience than, as I mentioned, Quartz, the former NAL player for One Shot, or for Mirage, now moving into One Shot. I spoke it up a little bit, but hey, maybe you'll be in the NAL soon enough, Quartz. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Lynx?
Well, hey, first of all, glad you asked. Appreciate you caring about my feelings. I'm feeling okay. How are you feeling after that victory? You already said you're feeling good, actually.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
we're feeling great. It was a tough match, but yeah. I really think it's unfortunate they lost Twitter, but
Yeah.
I mean, glad my team could pull through. Sorry.
Well, so that's one thing I want to talk about. Obviously, Mystic, I mean, them and Surf, best T3 teams. We said it time after time inside of SCS so far. How has it been for you guys, though, in particular? You know, you started off with Eclectic as your first map, and now you've sort of not ended SCS, but you've won your quarterfinal game against Mystic, another T3 team. How has it been adapting to that kind of different play style moving down into the amateur scene?
I think it's been like we've been trying to focus more on slowing things down against those teams, and just kind of, we know they were really aggressive. They rely a lot on gun skills, and those guys are extremely gifted, all of them. And so we've just been kind of slowing things down and just kind of letting them make mistakes, and yeah, kind of worked out today.
Well, I was actually about to say, you say you talked about slowing things down, but I feel like especially on Coastline towards the latter half of that map, it was anything but slow on those defensive rounds. So
Yes, it was. I mean, it was super, like, I was super TDM. It's a Coastline against those guys. We kind of just drew the shot away and then kind of went with like gun skills there at the end. But yeah, I'm just sitting on site and I'm just seeing if teammates want.
I was about to say, you might play zone attack, but you're always on smoke stuck inside the site. So I imagine you're hearing Swaylin get 3Ks and you're like, I'm sure that's awesome. I'm inside of Blue Bar right now. I can't really do much. So you've obviously won the quarterfinal match. Moving forward into the playoffs, I believe either your opponents are either two-faced or Aerial Academy. I mean, anything you got to say about them going forward? A teammate you'd prefer, or a team you'd prefer to play, or you just play who's in front of you? It doesn't matter that much.
I mean, we'll play whoever is there. Sorry, but yeah, I think 2F will win that match. They should be winning. But yeah, I'm looking forward to play whoever is gonna win. And also, I just wanted to say it's William's birthday tomorrow, so and he went crazy today. So if people could wish him a happy birthday, that'd be great.
I was about to say, I don't know if he's allowed to power up that hard before his birthday. The game were on his birthday, he probably would have dropped 40 kills or something. But happy birthday, or happy early birthday to Swaylin. Congratulations to you, Quartz, on your victory today. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
I want to say thank you to all the casters. Thank you to you guys on the production side. I feel like I've never thanked you guys, but you guys are, doing God's work there. I would never do that, honestly, sitting there for hours and just gas or just do production. So thank you guys for doing that. And you guys are doing a great job at it, so appreciate it.
Well, it helps when you and especially players like Swaylin provide us with a good show to watch. So thank you very much, Quartz. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
Looking forward to watching you more in SCS.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And he asked how I was feeling.
What a guy, dude. What a guy. Love the man.
Shout out to the casters. Can we just
we
bring
need
back
some
Quartz?
massive Quartz love. My God. What a legend.
But as you can see, pulling up the match stats, Quartz, unfortunately, maybe not showing up as much as we said, sitting inside of the site, not the roles, but let's cut right to the chase. Let's talk about who we want to see.
Good God.
Yeah, Swaylin. 35 and 11 in that series. 6-0 on the entry. That man was playing Nomad on Cafe, but on the defense, was he really lighting up in those early rounds? I mean, those stats speak for themselves, Jonah.
Oh my God. Oh, a 35 and 11. That's just nuts. That is just nuts. I don't know what the highest combined series, kills have been. I suspect maybe a little bit higher because, you do get that third map in the mix if you do go
That's
that
got to
far.
be up there, though. That's got to be up there.
But, I mean, it's got to be. It has got to be. It has got to be in that top group. I mean, and 86% cost. We did talk about, though, at the beginning of the night, how few objective plays there was going to be. We saw one plant all night, by the way. All series, it was just the one plant. As predicted, it was a game of frags. It was a game of chaos. Crazy.
No, hey, don't be fair. Or be fair. I mean, sorry. Be fair. Don't be unfair. We almost saw a second plant on Coastline.
True.
We almost got 100% increase from what we had, but Kilo unfortunately fell. We do have the play of the day, though. Maybe it will be the plant for how rare it was today. I doubt that it will be. But we'll see what the Mike and Ike sweet play of the of the night, I guess, the day, what have you. We'll see what it is. I imagine it's got to be something Swalen related. Could be from the first series, Jonah. Was there anything noteworthy in that series that we might see pop up?
There were a couple nice triple kills, especially from Achieve. They had like 3 triple kills back to back to back. But it does look like it's going to be from our first map of this series right here. It's going to be Swalen just going absolutely insane, possibly. Let's see, Gunner coming out here, going for a bit of a play here, trying to recover this diffuser. Oh, it was Swalen with the 17 bomb, looking to increase that.
Does he increase it, Jonah? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to this clip. I unfortunately have short-term memory loss. I don't know what happened. Yeah, he goes for the 19 kills, so you can see. Gets that kill onto the Yana, and then Doc pushing in. I believe he said in chat that he actually couldn't shoot for some reason. Clearly, when he switched to the pistol, it worked out, so don't worry about that much, I suppose. Not being able to shoot can't stop him if he switches weapons. So, of course, play of the day goes to Swalen/Kilo. He got some love thrown in there. It was a 2v4 between the two, and he got the first kill, actually, out of that. So, good work to him. But, Jonah, that is it for the night. Of course, thank you for letting me step in. Hope Harrison is feeling better, by the way, if he's watching. I'm sorry your throat is sore. Don't eat so much sushi next time. You won't hurt your throat if you eat like a normal person. That's just my opinion. Anything you want to say, Jonah, before we wrap it up?
I mean, more quarterfinals tomorrow. We've got 2 more epic quarterfinals. This is your bracket. We can take a look. I mean, we've got Two-Face versus Aerial Academy. We've got Aqualix versus Karn & Co. We've got 2 stellar games to determine what our semifinals are going to be. But this is the week of the playoffs. We've got tomorrow, we've got quarters. The next day, semis. Thursday, finals. And the winner qualifies for pro. Also, stay tuned for a little bit of information. If you're looking for something to do next week, mark your calendars. Early next week, we've got something secret coming up. Stay tuned for information about that. So much exciting stuff. I mean, it feels like we just started the split. We are already wrapping up split 1. And qualifiers for split 2 are just around the corner, baby.
Hey, again, when in a group stage, you just have to win 2 or 3 you literally just have to win 2 best of 3s to qualify, maybe play 3 max to decide to get eliminated. Things got to move fast, and you got to keep up with the pace if you want to stay inside of SCS Season 6. We'll see how the playoffs continue for the rest of this week. I have been Lynx, joined by Jonah, with Harrison earlier on in the night. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the second batch of quarterfinals.